So what is it?
May the force be with you.
Is that it? All right.
It's good. It's almost as good as we're not meant to do this alone.
Oh, you should say that.
We're back, and I say we because I have my lovely co-host, actually handsome, devilishly handsome.
Whoa, I like that.
Mr. Powerhouse himself is here. Hi, Elliot.
Hello, all. Hey,
I
babe.
don't know. I feel like we're on a talk show now. Now we're just like totally settled into this vibe.
Feels right.
So we promised to bring you some more episodes with Elliot and this whole conversation of what does it take to be a powerhouse spouse?
Yeah.
Trademark, pending. We should trademark that.
Okay.
Okay, so last episode, we gave you a little bit of the backstory. I'm sure we'll get to weave like the story of Powerhouse into a lot of these episodes. It's kind of fun to like go down memory lane. But one of the questions that came up with our mastermind group especially was this question about what if my partner and I are on different growth journeys? Like, my spouse supports me, but I really want to inspire them. Like, I want them to be on the same journey as I'm on.
Yeah.
And it was almost as though someone was like looking into a crystal ball at our past.
So true. That is us. That is us.
Well, I feel like I've also come to a much different understanding. But there definitely have been times where I was, if I'm honest, I was like afraid. This fear of like outgrowing you or outgrowing our relationship, which is silly to say.
Yeah.
But I think when you're on that trajectory and, you know, it is like kind of a crazy ride, those fears are bound to come up. It was a total upper limit. It was totally me just, I think, afraid to step into that next level for like who I was becoming. And the one thing that my mind knew it could throw at me as almost like my Achilles heel is to make me doubt the relationship that does mean the most to me. And so we've had our own kind of experience with that, but what has it felt like from your side?
I mean, a general feeling? Because I've had a lot of different feelings at different times.
We've had different feelings. Okay, let's go back to, so there have been these different points in our, like, kind of in our journey. So we actually started out building a business together.
Yeah.
So our very first business, I've talked about it a little bit, our network marketing business. A lot of people don't know this, but Elliot actually started that.
I did.
And you had to talk me into starting, like, becoming an entrepreneur. But then once I saw it, I was like, okay, I'm in, like, I totally want to do this. And I was like really motivated to, like, essentially like leave my job and do that business full time.
Yeah.
So I feel like we've had like these different, I don't even know what to say, but like we've had these different ebbs and flows of our own entrepreneurial journey where like there's been a lot of the time where you have really like provided that stable foundation for us in order to then allow me to go and pursue and take some bigger risks and do things like that. And I remember at times feeling like, man, I want you to like be just as excited as I am to go to personal development events or to have your own passion project. But now looking back, like we really needed that stability at the time.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, you have different roles in different times. So sometimes I was I was providing financial stability while we were chasing our dreams on something else. And sometimes I'm like, hey, we need to invest this. We need you to go for this. Like, so it's just been, I mean, you just kind of do what you have to do, like, given the situation, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I also think that I didn't do as good a job in the beginning, and we talked about this a little bit on the last episode, making you feel like you were a part of it. Like, do you remember a specific time when maybe you felt that shift? Because I feel like I didn't do a great job of that in the beginning.
That's a good question. I don't really think so.
That there wasn't a time that you did?
I've always felt part of it. I guess, like, I don't know. I guess maybe early on, like, it was really exciting for you and, like, you're so ambitious and you love, like, getting the attention of succeeding. Like, but that was like really early. I don't know. I feel like that's not really who you are.
But I do remember there have been times where I think as I was starting to feel like that, the passion of like having my own business, especially as we started to really build Powerhouse Women, that I tried to come up with new business ideas for you like every other day. Or you're really entrepreneurial too.
Okay, so here's the deal. Let's just cut it and be real. So this is what really turned me off when there's like a lot of attachment around like you wanting me to be a certain way. Like I didn't like that, didn't make me feel good. Like a lot of stuff was coming up inside me. Like, am I good enough? Is this like, why am I not good enough? Why does she want me to be something different than what I am? Like, so I was turned off immediately. Like, and I would fight through it, but just like, really isn't for me. So I think like for me as a man, a guy, I think for anybody, even if I was encouraging you to do something, like, I just think it's so important to meet somebody where they're at and to hold space for them with a like open invitation, like, hey, like, do you want to do this together? Like, do you want this? And like, yeah, no, it's not for me right now. Like, okay, that's not the exact answer I wanted to hear, but I'm cool with that. I'm going to meet you where you are. You're not just sitting at home in your pajamas. Like, you're out working, you're being productive, and I'm going to do my thing and invite you along the way. And I think to me, I think you've done a really good job of that. I feel like you've done a really good job of meeting me where I'm at. And it's like, knowing that I'm along for the journey and inviting me in and using my strengths and saying like, hey, can you help strategize with me a marketing plan? Or can you, things that I really love doing, like using my creativity, really makes me feel a part of it. So I feel like the moment like you're really attached and like wanting them to do something a specific way, it's not going to end well.
Yeah. And that's maybe more of what I'm pointing to, where whether it felt like, and clearly you did feel some of that energy when I was in that space.
Yeah.
Like, I think it came from a fear of not wanting to outgrow someone or just whatever, like the fear that it might turn you off if I was too ambitious, all these fears that I wasn't addressing. And then how it like manifested was me wanting you to be more like me versus seeing the greatness in exactly how you're wired and what a gift that really is. And I had to do like some major work around that, because when I thought about it, I would not want a carbon copy of myself. That would, like, those two people would spontaneously combust.
And
same
right? with me. Yeah. Two people like myself.
But
would not be good.
I mean, one of the things that we talked about too with like our group when we were, and this might have been not even when you were there, but I look back at the moment I decided to focus on and consciously look for all of the ways that how you're wired, what you do, your ambitions, how they actually are a part of this. Even, your willingness to stay in a job, like while we were building a company and able to take more risks, or starting to only speak greatness into the things that I saw in you without, and here's like the big, like underlying, this has to be a part of it, without attachment. So like, I'm not saying, oh, you're really great at this, hoping that then it's going to have that person, show up how I want. It's really just acknowledging who they are and what great things you see in them. And I feel like you could actually sense that space that I was giving you to be exactly who you were.
I could, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's made a huge difference. And you did such a good job of like just seeing the strengths and being committed to seeing the strengths that I have and not the weaknesses.
Yeah.
And you just speak such greatness into me. So, when there's times I was doubting myself, like you really would hold space that I'm an incredible man with incredible gifts, an incredible provider. And even when I didn't feel like that, because no one's always going to feel like that, right? And sometimes I do feel like that and sometimes I don't. So when you hold space for me in such a way that you see me in that light, like I eventually will step into that. And it's just been, I just want to thank you. I have a lot of gratitude that you do that and that we've committed to doing that.
Well, you are great.
Well, I appreciate that. And for me, like starting a business is hard and it's not always going to be profitable right off the bat. So for me, patience was like something I really had to work on, and like not putting pressure on you to like make a profit or, Yeah, like make a profit, really. And like,
Yeah.
hey, I have to support you and I have to be okay with you going out and doing the whole new business thing and starting from the ground up and not putting pressure on you to make money and just like enjoy what you're doing.
Yeah.
And that was tough for me, but I was bought into the vision, and we created that vision together, which I think really helped.
Yeah. And the more I like chose to see you as equally a part of it, like we almost started to talk about, I feel like this was really a switch even in the last year. Yeah. Talking about not as like silos. So Elliot has his job, Lindsay has Powerhouse Women, we kind of still have this like network marketing income, but actually looking at it as like, although our family, like our household is a corporation.
Yeah.
And so it all supports the end goals that we have. And that switch I think was really cool for me, at least, to really look at too. Yeah, to look at our like household, our
portfolio.
Yes, exactly. We're we're getting into investing and all those fun things. So I think it helped us start to see that. And our mentor, Chris Harder, said like so beautifully at our mastermind about like you have certain elements that are building your lifestyle for right now and then things that are building your legacy. And so when we shifted and started to look at what we're building from that standpoint, like some of it is for now, like your job is for now and it provides stability and it's allowing us to take bigger risks and invest in ourselves. But that's leading somewhere, right? It's part of the overall goal, like you said.
Yeah.
I love that. So what would your advice be? This is me interviewing. Now I'm playing Barbara Walters.
Oh.
I have heard friends of mine say, my spouse is so supportive. Like we talked about support in the last episode, but how do you inspire someone to want to go on a growth journey with you? What would you say if someone's like, gosh, I just really want my partner to be on this journey with me, even if it's not join you in business, but it's like, I want them to want to go join a mastermind or, do personal development, whatever that is.
Yeah, I think I touched on this a little bit, but I'll kind of dive in a little bit more. And it's just not being attached and
like inviting.
Invite them along and almost like appreciate them for being a part of your business already, because they are.
Yeah.
They're doing so much for your business, and you may just not see, like maybe they're not directly impacting your business like from a strategy perspective or from a execution perspective, but they're your partner, they're in your house, they're providing an emotional space for you, they're supporting you, they're picking you up when you're down, they're doing dishes, they're cooking, they're making money, they're part of the business more than more than you're acknowledging maybe.
Yeah.
So look for how they're contributing to you and your energy and your space, and that is they're already a part of their business. So from there, once you realize that, holding that space, seeing greatness and inviting them into maybe a little bit more. Maybe, hey, can we schedule some time to talk about this, or can we schedule some? I love you're so good at this. Like, men have egos. It's no secret. Right? Like, you're so good at it first. You're so good at this. Like, you're so strong, Elliot. Why don't you help me lift these strong, heavy objects while we discuss this matter? Like that. So, I mean, I know I'm being silly, but elaborating on their strength, playing into their ego and inviting them, even if it's a small step, like small steps lead to bigger actions. So, and the attachment piece and making them feel wrong for being who they are is not going to help.
Yeah. So all I need to do is tell you your muscles look big, and I can get you to do basically anything.
What double chin? I don't see a double chin, Elliot. Yeah, I mean,
I think that.
But let me switch the gear on you. So you've done such a good job of being intentional about what my strengths are, because I am not a perfect human being. Far freaking from it.
Shocking, I know.
Far freaking from it.
Same.
But you've done such a good job of like being intentional of seeing the greatness in me. And like, how do you do that? What are your secrets to do that? Because that's not easy to do.
Yeah. I mean, if we're talking about like your life partner, and again, whether that's a man or a woman, you chose that person for a reason. You probably like a few things about them. And I realized, and because I am the one who devours personal development books, and I'm always I was in the shower that day and I was like listening to some mindset tape, and I was like, hey, I'm growing. I said something like, I'm growing my brain, and he looks at me, he goes, God, do you ever stop learning? And it was just so perfect because that's something I love. I love to always be learning. But I realized that the more, it's like what you focus on expands. So the more I focused on even just little things, tiny little things, then they would fester into like bigger things that would annoy me. But the more I really look at and pay attention to and shed light on the things that are great about you, because that's what I would want from you, then I notice more of those. And that's so like simple, but it really is so true. And especially when you're on a growth journey, I've noticed that like things with us have to be okay for me to show up as the person I want to be in my business. I can't just sweep things under the rug if I want to show up as powerful for my community or, on my podcast, if I know that like I'm not taking care of the relationship that is most important to me. And so that really is priority number one. But it just goes back to that, I guess, truth that what you focus on and put energy on, you're going to find more of. So I just keep finding things I like about you now. It's amazing. I wanted to just kind of like tie this together though, because we're, kind of talking about growth. And for me, when I used to think that I wanted you to like want to do all the same personal development as me or whatever that is, like the first mastermind I joined by myself, and then we're doing one together now, which we'll have to talk about that too.
It's been awesome.
But is to realize that when I sat down and thought about like, okay, what do I really want? And it wasn't so much that I needed you to be interested in the same things that I was. I realized that what I really wanted deep down was to feel like we were growing together. And so whether that, sometimes it's like we'll be working out together for a season and like we've gone through spurts of that, or it's like going to church together and like growing spiritually. So for me, I realized I don't actually need him to be growing on the exact same path as I am. I just need to feel like we're growing in some way together. And once I realized that, then I was like, oh, okay, well, let me look at where are we growing together? And so that's kind of shifted and changed just in different seasons of our life. But I think also like if there's something that's bothering you about that, about like maybe not being on the same page as your partner, look at like what's the root of that? Do you want connection? Do you want growth? Do you want to feel supported? And then look for where maybe that thing that you want is present, just not in the way that you thought it would look like. And I think that goes back to just like that non-attachment that you talked about.
Yeah, that's so good.
Thanks. I think that's all I got for this one.
There's a lot of wisdom in that.
Thanks. Yeah, but it's a lot of trial and error. And that's the thing I want people to know is kind of like we started off talking about. I used to really struggle with this, wanting you to be on the exact same path as I was. But the more I've noticed, like the more space I give you and the more I just really, without attachment, acknowledge all the ways that you are growing and you are showing up. Or I talk all the time, like your consistency in the gym inspires the hell out of me. But I had to find it. I had to see your consistency in other ways because it's not going to look the same as mine. And I've noticed you just really even flourish the more I've, found that space. Yeah, you're pretty awesome.
Thanks.
I think I'll keep you, but I really, we don't have a choice. We have the cutest dog, and we always joke that we'd never separate because we couldn't decide who gets the dog.
That's true.
It would be me, right?
No, absolutely not.
Okay, I guess we'll stay together. Well, we'll continue to do these episodes, and I think there's some topics we can definitely give some insight on and just share, from a totally, normal
Raw.
view, not relationship experts, just people like living this real life of what it is to be in business, either together or supporting someone in business. But there are bumps that come along the way. It's not perfect, but I honestly think it's enriched our relationship.
I've never felt closer to you, and we've overcome a lot. We've celebrated a lot of victories, and we've had some defeats. But like one of our like most consistent prayers is like, God, whatever we go through, like just bring us closer together. So, I mean, we're intentional about it, and sometimes it's not easy. Sometimes it's not fun. I mean, you are married to me, so it has to be kind of rough sometimes.
You're my fun coach. You are fun.
But there's a lot that comes along with me.
Yeah.
But it's, but yeah, I mean, we're very intentional about supporting each other, and it's not always perfect, but we come back.
Do you think this podcast is going to make us closer together?
I absolutely do. We're sitting next to each other right now. It's a great start.
All right. Well, thank you so much. Hopefully you guys are loving these episodes. It's way more fun to talk to you than just to talk directly to a camera and not talk to a real human. So
And normally I don't talk a lot, so this is the most I've talked probably in days.
yeah.
I'll get better as we go along.
All right, guys. Well, share your questions with us. Let us know. What do you want to hear the OG Powerhouse man himself talk more about? Let us know. Hit us up. Okay, what's our sign off today?
That's your turn.
Oh, no, it's you. You got the best lines.
I got the best lines.
You do. May the force be with you. Is that the last one?
That's the last one, yeah. We'll go with that.
Okay.